Okay, so I am at 4 speed right now, and gently, doesn't look like it in 4 speed, but I'm gently squeezing out the water that I am able to squeeze out by hand here. And then when I'm done with that, I lay it flat in a towel and I squeeze it out the rest in the towel by hand and feet. And then I lay it flat to dry. Now we're going to see it in 8 times speed just in a second here. So this is basically just wet blocking in what it looks like. So wet blocking is washing and laying flat to dry the garment that you have knit. No stretching whatsoever. Alright, so I promised you all a video when I was going to steek my Sagavoll kofta. And the center white stitch going down here is the one I'm cutting, so I'm gonna follow this blue and that stitch up along the way with my sewing machine. Okay, and as you can see, I am recording also for Instagram stories, so making 2 videos in one. I'm going to remove this one. And I'm going to grab my swatch to try on that one before I sew anything, just to make sure that the stitches are alright and so forth. So, a lot of things you can do with your swatch, people. So I have white cotton thread. My machine does not like synthetic thread, so I have just some white cotton thread here. I'm going to set it for straight stitch, and I'm going to start with length 2, and I'm just going to go for it. I'm not going to pull on the fabric. I'm going to let the machine feed it, but I'm going to control where the needle goes down by moving the fabric, like, you know, from side to side. I don't do this very often, as you can probably tell, but... And for obvious reasons, I'm not going to go this fast once I am going to steek the cardigan, just because I want to have a little bit more control. That looks very nice. It's sewing very good. Okay, now for the cardigan. I always have this brush tool ready so that I can, that's not focusing. I always have this brush tool ready so I can remove fluff and stuff like that. Because for wool, that is just going to be, there's just going to be a lot more fluff. And I have never steeked something that is this long, so I'm a little bit excited. You want to make sure that you only have the side down face down, sorry. And I'm gonna start as if for some regular project. I'm probably going to not talk while sewing and rather do a voiceover for you, so I'm just gonna start. Okay, so what I do here is just backstitch a little just to secure it so it won't come unraveled at the top, and I try very hard to control the speed of the needle down the side, and I'm actually using the button bands as a leader, just because when I get a little further down, there's less blue, as you can tell by the lice pattern that goes down the body after the top of the yoke. So yeah, I'm using the actual button band as a leader. You're always going to want to make sure that the fabric is always flat laying inside. So I'm prepared for this to get very scrunchy, but you always want to make sure that the back of your cardigan goes under this part and the front goes on top, so it doesn't, you know, double stitch anything together. I'm also trying to stay as close as I can to the button bands. It's already starting to get very scrunched up, so we shall see how this goes. It's very difficult to control the speed on the sewing machine, which is kind of putting me off a little. Fun fact is that with the buttons all attached, this actual does not weigh more than 355 grams. And yeah, it weighs next to nothing, but it's still a very warm cardigan. I used Holst Yarn's Noble Base. I knit the ribbings on 2.5mm needles, and for the rest I used a 3mm needle. And I will link to my project page on this on Ravelry, so you can check that out if you are interested in more details. I'm just gonna cut off this one because I was under the impression that I was going to do this by hand, but I moved, so I have my sewing machine again. It's not gonna happen. I've done it before though, steeking like this instead of using a sewing machine. I used my hands. Takes forever, but it's doable if you don't have a sewing machine. I am right at the end, so I'm going to sew down, backstitch, and go forth again just to secure the end. Just as you would with a regular sewing project. Now, it's important that you pull your needle up as far as you can get it, because you're going to pull it all the way back. But first, you're going to pull it a little, cut your sewing thread, and start pulling it back without destroying anything in the process. That went a lot better than I thought. You'll see pictures and video of how long this is, and you'll get the idea of how why I thought this was going to be a little bit difficult, but it seems to go pretty well. It's been through the washing machine, but it didn't felt, as you can tell, there's a difference to how fluffy this is versus this. And so it's not as felted together, so it's very important that the stitches go through all the knit stitches down. So yeah, I am expecting it to shrink just a little, but after having steeked it, that shouldn't be a problem. So kind of hoping that will be okay. And I'm just going to repeat the process on the opposite side here. So what you just saw me do, I am now going to speed up a little bit for you anyway. And I'll catch you when I'm done with this part. we need to cut it. Okay, so what's going to happen now is that we're going to cut between the two seams. You can see them here. We're going to cut between them all the way up. For this part, it is extremely important that you always lift this part and leave the back laying down here, because if not, you don't want to cut through any strands. So always lift it up like so. Make sure everything lays nice and flat, and simply go through and cut between your machine seams. I hate this part. I don't know. I don't know what I dislike the most, if it is the cutting part or the sewing part. There's just, yeah, I'm trying to get over it. And I'm hoping now that these two seams that I did are going to be enough, because I will cry my eyes out if this falls apart right now. So I can probably use some textile glue or something and sew some bands over that edge, but I really don't want to go there. So I'm just gonna make sure that I really go through. So far it seems to go very smoothly, and now that I've been stupid enough to say that out loud, I'm gonna get all nervous. I know for this part I'm a little bit far out to the edge of the lens here, but I am very occupied actually looking at what I'm doing instead of the camera and checking if I'm in frame, so, but you're getting the gist. And just like that, you have an open cardigan. We're gonna trim all these machine threads off. And before I steek, I always fasten all my ends. I wash it, I dry block it, so I just lay it flat to dry. And yeah, I guess there's nothing else to say about that. I will add a video of wearing this at the end here after having sewn on all my buttons. So yay! I just steeked my cardigan. Ta-da! Look at these floats, y'all! Woohoo! Yeah! Okay, so I'm gonna finish this, and yeah, and then you get to see the beautiful wear that is this cardigan.